Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavelich and Jesse Martineau.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. My name is Mark Pavelich, and across in the Grove, the big sexy, Mr. Jesse Martineau.
Hi, Mark.
What's that?
Well, there's a lot of big hits going on.
But, I'm telling you, these kind of when we do these shows together, it's just for me, it's like Christmas. Like,
well, there's going to be a lot of puns today, and that was one I just dropped. It was a big hit.
Yeah.
In fact, the biggest hit of Will Smith's career happened last night, and we'll get into that a little bit tonight. But
please, go,
if you notice
go,
the show of the titles,
go.
the title show today is The Pursuit of Slappiness. Because when Mark and I get together, the Three Stooges had their slapstick comedy and that kind of stuff. But when me and Mark slap this show together, and I say that very loosely because we more than just slap it together. But when it gets slapped together with Mark and I going for a complete hour, get ready. The hits are going to keep on rolling. We'll be right back on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavelich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Me and Jesse podcast time. It's our once a month, Mark and I recap what's been going on in the world. In the world of sports.
They asked. They said,
and lots of going on in the world of sports, but then also lots have been going on. I mean, we can't go into this show tonight without talking about what happened last night. Mind-blowing. Honestly, Mark and I were together when we remember this, Mark, when we watched the debacle about the winning the final Oscar with Moonlight and La La Land. Right. We watched that together.
Yeah.
And we figured at that moment there would never, ever in the history of the Oscars be anything more of a debacle.
No, it's usually not, right?
But until last night when Chris Rock throws down. Chris Rock is Chris Rock. Makes a very mild joke. And again, I understand there was a condition involved with Will Smith's wife. And I'm not making fun of that. It's just all the things that have been said, even last night.
Let me, Jesse.
Okay.
Let me make fun of it. Let me make fun of this, okay?
And Will Smith gets him and slaps him in the mouth. Mm-hmm. And at first you thought it was a joke. Like, oh, they set this up. They did this thing. Then Will Smith sits down and actually lets loose. Tells Chris Rock, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth and all that stuff. And you're like, holy cow, this is real. What is going on? I don't get it.
I do. You know why I get it? Yeah, I get it, Jesse. I get it, Jesse, because if you know his wife, Jada, has her own little podcast that she has called the Red Table or the Red Door, whatever it's called. And she goes and decides to tell their whole life story to the whole world. So she's going to tell you their whole life story. Let me explain this to you too. I'll send everybody the YouTube video if you want to watch it and you can see. Listen, I'm going to be a little judgmental today, which is not really my nature, but I'm going to be today because if you want to be these Hollywood, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll come up with one, but one that keeps me in the boundary. But Will Smith and his wife decided a few years ago that they were going to have an open relationship where they basically separated. And Will started, basically tagging all the young girls in the cast of where the movies he was doing. And then his wife went and started dating. Wait a second. Augusta Alessandra, rapper from New Orleans, who was 27 years old, which means Jada could have been his mother. Okay. So what happens now is you do these relationships and you have these little tables where you sit down and you talk about your life with everybody. And what happens now is the world opens up and looks at you a little differently. Now, judgmental, yes, whatever, Hollywood, you want to be these people. You go ahead and be these people. I love it when people say that to me all the time. They go, Mark, who would you like to be like? And I go, listen, you know what you should ask people? And I mean this with my whole heart. You should ask them if they want to be like me. Okay. And I'm not even joking right now, because the dysfunctionality in Hollywood, woke Hollywood last night, almost was sickening to me. When Will Smith walks across a stage with no security coming, with Chris Rock, who's a total of 5'9", 160 pounds, comedian, didn't put his hands up to defend. Jesse,
he didn't think that was going to happen.
Jesse, you know this as well as I do. If someone comes walking at you like that, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to turn to the side. There you go, Jesse Martineau, turn to the side, put your hands up. Chris Rock, comedian, does not do that. What happens? He sucker shots him right in the face. You know why you knew it wasn't a joke? When he walked back, he started dropping the F-bombs at the Academy Awards in the front row, and that was not a staged thing.
No.
Everybody at home, if you think that was staged, then he literally has a nervous breakdown during his speech when he wins. And you know what? I wanted Will to win the Oscar pre-slapping thing, because I think, honestly, he should have been kicked out of the place. That's my personal opinion.
It is mind-blowing.
But woke Hollywood wants you to believe this. They want you to believe we don't believe in violence. We don't believe climate this, climate that. While you're all flying around in your private jets, you all want to talk like this, you bullshitters. You are the listen to me.
Well, I mean, hey, Ricky Gervais called it out years ago. He said, "Hey, you guys are all doing this. I'm just saying it. You guys are all doing it."
But what about Ricky Gervais? You imagine, Mano and I were on our hike this morning, and I said, what if Ricky Gervais said that joke? Ricky Gervais said it, and Will Smith comes walking across the stage at Ricky Gervais. Do you think now, between me and you, that security would have jumped on him?
Yeah. I mean,
and Ricky would have probably ducked under and maybe threw a little jab on the side too on the way back. But my point was, I feel horrible for Chris Rock because he played it off fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it.
And a friend of mine from Michigan, Rod Hart, you know Rod.
Yeah.
He called me today. We had a long conversation about it. And you know what he said? He said he should sue him. And I said, he can't sue him. This is a code thing between guys, right? He's not going to sue him. They're old school buddies. This happened. He's not going to sue him. My buddy Rod comes up with this idea. He says, Mark, he's got to sue him and start the Chris Rock Boys and Girls Club with Will Smith's money. And I thought, that's genius. You got to sue him now, because basically your whole career now moving forward will be nothing about how great you were in stand-up comedy. I've seen him twice live in Vegas. And this is the only thing people are going to talk about. This guy's kids are going to go to school. That's all they're going to talk about. This is going to go on and on and on. But you imagine they want to make their life so public all the time and let the world know who they are. Remember Jada Smith 2 years ago? We ain't going to the Oscars.
Yeah.
We ain't going. We ain't going. We ain't never going again. Oh, Will got nominated. We're going now. Wait a second. We got to go now. And not only we're going to go, we're going to determine what's going to be said at the Oscars, right? Because Will thought he was a badass. Will's a punk. Okay, listen to me. I'm 54 years old. Will, come knock on my door. I'll send you my address, okay? Jesse, you know what a tough guy really is, okay? Yeah. And what I'm trying to tell you, I'm not going to call myself that ever. But I'm trying to tell you, you walk up on me like that, you're going to get it. Yeah. And what I'm trying to tell you is I feel horrible for Chris Rock, because poor comedian standing there with his hands in his pocket, and Will decides to crack him in the mouth and then starts to tell the world how you should take your wife's name out of my mouth like he's some OG gangster. Yeah. You know what I mean? You ain't, Will. You're an actor. And you did the Ali film, which you did fantastic. And you learned a little boxing. And you thought you would take your get out of jail free card with Chris Rock? Like, please, man.
Oh, please, my gosh. You can't make this stuff up. This is crazy. This is what we all know is going on in Hollywood. And then they prove it for us. Once again, that this is the most out of touch community in the world. They absolutely should not be telling us who to vote for. They absolutely should not be telling us what to believe or buy or think. And they still do. And they're a bunch of babies that get paid too much money for what they do and get way too much notoriety and fame and influence. And still today, people still like it. But I hope that most people now realize, like, okay, this has gone too far. This is absolutely ridiculous. We should stop listening to these people because these people don't have a clue what's going on in the real world. Man, you walk up to a dude in real life. I mean, what if here's another thing about the Oscars last night. Remember the scene when the three girls, or the one girl, is groping Jason Momoa and the other dude?
I thought the same thing. I thought the exact same thing.
A girl I was watching with is like,
are we
can you imagine if they did that to a chick? Like,
can you imagine? They'd be arrested.
I can't believe they got it doesn't make sense. Like your wokeness crazy. Collapses on itself eventually.
It's almost comical when you do break it down that way, Jesse, because I thought the exact same thing. She basically was fondling Jason Momoa, and she was sitting there, and I was like, "What is this like a thing now? Like, are we back to this now? Because I don't know. Give me the rules and regulations."
Didn't we have the whole Harvey Weinstein thing happen already? Oh, wasn't that a big deal there?
Yeah, that used to be. It's already forgotten. But you know why it's forgotten? It's already forgotten. Don't forget, you can see numerous Academy Awards speeches, literally 3-4 years ago, of them consistently telling people about how Harvey Weinstein is their best friend in the entire world.
That he's a god.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
that was one of the things. And that's what Ricky Gervais called on that time too.
Listen, me and you love the movies.
Absolutely.
Okay? I don't follow one famous actor on Twitter or on Instagram. Okay. I follow sports people because of our podcast. They come on our podcast. I follow them. We move on. But I don't follow any form of actors or anything like that. Do I love the movies? Obsessively, like you do. But do I worship the people? No. You look at people like Anthony Hopkins. Okay. There's a guy that acts and goes home. Okay, we don't need to know about who he's sleeping with, who he's not sleeping with. He's got a red table telling everybody. No, okay? This is what I'm trying to get at. This is what the Academy Awards are for me. You know what's funny? I've watched the Academy Awards since I've been 5 years old. I'm not joking. I've never missed. You know I'm obsessive about watching this. I can honestly say that next year, I think me and Mrs. P might go out for dinner that night. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's the second lowest ratings ever.
It's crazy.
Last year was the lowest. This year it had 5 million more people, but still, it's. And I hated the recording thing. Like they recorded 6 or 8 of the awards, and then
people were walking on after the commercials. So people were walking on, getting their awards, and I'm like, what are we watching here? What is going on?
Well, they did it the other night. They had another event, and they did it. It was like, okay, this is weird. Anyway, the whole thing. I mean, the hits just keep on coming, everyone.
But like I said. Will's all of a sudden is a tough guy. He did the Ali movie, and all of a sudden he's telling the world about how he's the protector, and the protector, which you're a bully, and you're bullying Chris Rock, who's 5'9", 160 pounds. I went and checked prior to the show because I knew he was a small guy. I literally was sitting in the front row to one of his shows. I knew how tall he was, and that 5'9" is a stretch. Okay, that's a stretch 5'9". Okay, that's with him. That's with Tom Ford shoes on. He's 5'9". Okay, so please, man, like it's got to stop. But the part that bothers me so much is the wokeness of Hollywood thinking like, yeah, you can't talk to us like that anymore. And it's like Jada's always had super short hair. So it's not like this thing that she has now where her hair is thinning, right? Which happens to everybody when you get older. Your hair starts to thin. You start to lose your hair. This is a terrible thing for any woman or any man. I agree. But your husband doesn't have the right to go assault someone in the middle of the Oscars.
Absolutely not. I totally agree. Well, lots more going on in the world of sports, obviously. And sports being, this is a sports show.
What about Formula One?
What's that?
Formula One.
You want to go Formula One first?
I want to go Formula One. I'm ready.
All right.
I'm stoked because as my team Mercedes and yours is Red Bull, I understand. You know what the crazy part about the worst start for Mercedes in forever? Okay, horrible start, atrocious. My boy Lewis Hamilton's in the back. They literally needed an Uber. Go talk to him in the pre-show. That's how far back he was in the start grid. Okay. And my boy Lewis is in the back and George is number, 5 or 6, after all this madness and after how shitty the 2 first races were and how everything was atrocious, guess what place my Mercedes is in right now? Second.
Really?
Second. Yeah, I know it's crazy. Number 1, Ferrari. Number 2, Mercedes.
Oh, yeah, there would be. Yeah,
three. Number 3, Red Bull.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? You would think, okay, now this is the problem, because me and you got this F1 thing down now. Okay. And for people at home that haven't got into F1 yet, I implore you, I encourage you to watch on Netflix the show. Drive to Survive. Drive to Survive. Once you watch the show, you, as me and Jesse, you will fanatically start to watch F1. I guarantee you will. It's genius how they got us hooked.
Yeah.
Now, Mercedes is in second place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does Ferrari look unstoppable already this year? Yes.
Look pretty good.
But they look very good. But you know what you're doing every week now? Every week that goes by, you're giving Toto Wolff the opportunity to get that crystal ball. and everybody that lives in Stuttgart, Germany, that works on these cars, and all these intelligent engineers to figure out, why are we behind Ferrari? I agree.
It's a matter of time.
Let's agree to this today. The 2 best drivers by a million miles in F1 are easily Lewis Hamilton and Max. Okay. Do we not agree?
Maybe.
Who do you say are the top 2
I think
drivers?
Charles is better than Lewis now.
You think? No. Think?
Okay, it's hard. Like,
I think
that again, this is what always the knock against Lewis Hamilton has been, is that he's always had the best car.
Okay.
And so now he doesn't have the best car, and he can't climb like he did. Like
he climbed 5-6 spots the other day. He finished
because of
third the first race.
Also because of pitting.
And he made a huge mistake. Okay, he basically should have finished around 7th or 6th in that race, because he made that pit error. Okay, but I think when you're in the back like he is in the caboose, he's just mad, frustrated, pushing, and all of a sudden he missed the pit.
I'll say this.
And you're right about that.
I'll say Max. I'll give you Lewis. But then Charles Leclerc and George Russell are
okay.
The top
I'm okay with that. But I think Max doesn't have a better car than Ferrari. I think he outdrove him on.
Yeah, I think that was part of the thing.
Easily.
They're better in a straight line. And again, this is what. So in 2020, if you don't watch, you need to, because this is crazy. I think people watch and they don't really get it. And for really, in all honesty, the last 5 or 6 years, they didn't do a good job of bringing parity into the sport. But now there's a lot more equality across the teams, because they changed all the regulations and all the cars are new. So you got teams that weren't that great that are actually having chances to be good again. And so it's made it a lot more interesting. Now, the thing is that it's a matter of time before the big teams like Mercedes and Red Bull figure it out again.
They'll figure it out.
And start to pull away. Now it might take 5 to 10 races for that to happen. Let's hope not, because Ferrari will be too far ahead then, right? But what I'm saying is, I don't think, I thought Max clearly showed how much of a better driver he was in the last 3 laps. He could be Schumacher
2.0.
Yes.
I agree. I agree.
But here's the other thing. It's like Senna Schumacher, because he's more Senna than Schumacher.
You mean style-wise?
Style-wise. Senna was so aggressive and would push it to the limit all the time, and I feel that's what Max does.
He's getting patient, though.
Max is learning. He's learning. He has to learn a little bit of the Schumacher bit in there, too, because there is that time that you have to wait.
He did Sunday, though.
He learned from when it went back and forth there. It was really good. That was a great race, and it's honestly an incredible series. You have to watch it on Netflix. It's called Drive to Survive.
Yeah. And we all watched it.
There's 4 seasons of it now.
Yeah.
It's a sport that lets you in behind the scenes of it, which you watch hockey and football and stuff, and you get very surface answers from everybody involved.
Can I say this then? Can I say this then?
Yeah.
Can I say this then? And this is going to sound bizarre, but I'm telling you right now, if CFL football, okay, which I don't watch and I'm not into, okay, but I'm telling you, if CFL football did what F1 did,
it's interesting,
would get at least a 30 to 40% increase in live attendance and people watching
This is
CFL
why
football.
I think the XFL was in the CFL were close to a deal, because it would work in the CFL. You don't have to build anything. You're going to keep your fan base.
Yeah.
And whether it's Canadian, so it's not huge, but it's still a fan base. It still goes and still generates money. And you start to add in some of the cool things that the XFL did. Maybe you're onto something there, Mark. Maybe that is the next
But don't
phase.
we want to know? Don't we want to know people? Well, isn't that what we're talking about? I couldn't relate to anybody when I watch F1 prior to watching Drive to Survive. Okay.
Right.
Then all of a sudden I'm watching the show and I'm like, well, I'm a Mercedes guy in general for cars. And then I was like, I like Lewis Hamilton's story. Okay. So I liked his story, his background. So I was like, oh, this is my team. This is going to be my team, right? Do I like Red Bull? Yes. I it's weird because I'm not, listen, I hate to say this out loud. I shit on fantasy football guys in the NFL all the time. I'm technically almost a fantasy F1 guy when it comes to like, I usually don't like anything else, only my stuff. But I know that Max Verstappen is special. Like there's something extremely special about him. So I can't hate on the guy because I know he's a Viking. He's a lion. Like this guy is a killer, and that's what Red Bull is banking on. Now, do I like any, like I can count on like half a hand how many guys I like in F1 that I really like. But the moral of the story is that once you start to go on behind the scenes and check when I watched Drive to Survive, Max wasn't even the number one driver at the time. No. He was the number two driver.
Yeah, he was up and coming.
But you saw something in him, like he had this fire burning in him, like he was like just agitated that he was number two and he wanted to be the number one guy. And now he's the number one guy in the world. And there's something special to actually watch that live. And then you're watching the race on Sunday and it's like, oh, I get this now. So I really implore people. F1 is really special. When Martineau Pavelich was watching F1 on Sunday, okay? She doesn't watch sports, period, but she watched Drive to Survive, and even she watches F1.
Well, I think that, for our Canadian viewers, I think the CFL idea, that's a really interesting idea. I would love a channel that mic'd up players that let them say what they wanted to say.
What's that cost, Jesse? Yeah, what's that
nothing.
cost?
I mean, again,
exactly.
Exactly. The NHL and stuff, they have a squeaky image they want to protect, and I get it, but
they did that one season though, the HBO one with the hockey.
Yeah. They did a few times. They did a Pittsburgh, Washington one. They did a Toronto one. People in the States started to watch because it was like, okay, and then they stopped because they're like, letting too much out there. I think maybe. But if the CFL...
Every coach dropped 50 F-bombs every time he talked.
Oh, yeah. Bruce Boudreau
broke a record.
Can't speak more than 4 words in a row without dropping an F-bomb. So, of course, he's going to swear a lot. And so, why not do that with the CFL? Why not let it be raw and have a channel that actually can play that and let it go? Because I think maybe you get more people interested in it. And then have the feuds, like have the managers saying things about other managers. That's what's crazy about F1. I can't believe it, but they bash each other all the time. They call each other whatever. They say they're out of touch, and then it's constant. And why not let that happen more? They all say it behind closed doors.
I didn't even want to talk about the CFL. We never talk about the CFL on the show.
But
we
maybe
never
that
talk
makes
about
it interesting.
But I've met a handful of guys that play in the CFL, and you know what, bro? They're gems. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean gems. Okay. Listen, I meet Ryan King. Okay. You know Ryan King, right?
Yeah. He
was the long snapper for the Eskimos. He works with Crystal Glass, one of our sponsors now. I mean, these are the guys, salt of the earth, man. Just good people, great individuals. And you know what I used to remember when I met him, and he's retired now, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, how come I didn't know about you when you were playing? Yeah. Like, why didn't I know about you, man? This guy was running his own charity. He's part of the community. He's part of all this stuff. And you're just sitting there going, how didn't I know about you? And that's the problem with the CFL. And they have never fixed it. I don't know if it's an arrogance or it's a lack of intelligence. There is an arrogance. Oh, is it an arrogance or is there a lack of intelligence?
Well, maybe both. But remember, for years, they always had the T-shirts comparing CFL to NFL that said our balls are bigger. And you're like, okay, it's funny. That was a great marketing piece, but
there's more.
That's a very, very tip of the iceberg of actually you're comparing yourself to the NFL. You have nothing of a draw factor that the NFL has. Like, I'd rather watch the Jaguars and the Dolphins play on a Thursday afternoon than I would watch the Grey Cup. Like,
I mean, 100%.
I would watch that NFL game before I'd watch the Grey Cup because that is how poorly they put it. But if you can, hey, F1 proved that you took an old man sport, really, you made it young, and you made it appeal to North America, which is the only thing that matters in these other European sports is that you appeal to North America because when because it's a largely untapped market for them, so they get to pour a whole new audience into this thing. Why not take the template that's already been made and apply it to the CFL?
Do you know what's funny? There's a new guy with the Eskimos now. Okay, he was the former owner or still owner of One FC. Okay, Victor. Okay, and he is now running the Eskimos, and I wish him the best. But there's so many flaws with the Eskimos, and I mean by flaws, I mean things that can be easily fixed. You're in a stadium that holds 50, 60,000 people. You don't get 50, 60,000 fans. So that's a problem right there. So what do you do right now? Here, listen, guys, get a piece of paper and pen out, Eskimo people, because I'll give you how to do this. Now let's try to figure this out. Would you take advice from me about putting on large events? I've only put on a few hundred in my lifetime, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is I used to go there. Well, Len Rose used to be the president of the Eskimos. He used to invite me to the game. I went to the game 1 or 2 times. I sat next to him. I was like, I'm so disassociated from the actual game. It was like you were so far away in the stadium. I don't care what you have to do. You have to bring the fans closer. I don't care how you do that. I don't care if you cut off that side of the stadium and put another section in front of that section so people are literally standing in the end zone basically like the NFL. And if you don't do that, you're still disassociated from the game. You're miles away. You go to an NFL game, which you have, Jesse. What do you hear? You hear them calling the plays. You hear them breathing. You see them taking the tape off their fingers. You see snot coming from their nose and mouth, okay? You hear the play calls. You hear Omaha. You hear it all. CFL, nothing. You don't hear anything.
You think, and then even get like NFL films where they would go and they follow a guy for a day or a week in a game, and they have an episode about that. But you could easily make a series out of the CFL. You pick whatever teams and you follow the couple of guys and you go around and you follow it throughout the season and you follow the ins and outs of the deals that the league has to make and trades. And I mean, hey, there's so many possibilities there that you could actually make something pretty impressive.
Well, we saw it on a small level that could be so much bigger. On a small level that could be so much bigger. What about the Stingers basketball? Okay. Now there's another one. It's getting better and better and better, but the level of basketball is fantastic.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm telling everybody, I don't care where you live, because this league has teams everywhere. Okay. And in the States, just just in Canada.
No,
right?
It's Canadian Elite Basketball League.
Canadian Basketball. But the level of basketball is fantastic. And you know what? I can't understand it. But when we went to the game and I said, Jesse, we have to come back and watch this again and again and again because it's that good.
It is.
And what I'm trying to tell you is they had it way closer to the NBA than the Eskimos had it to the NFL.
Yeah.
Could you say, is that not true?
I agree. I think so.
Yes.
You feel
so they did.
closer to a pro league than the CFL feels closer to the NFL.
100%.
Yeah,
you're sitting courtside. We were sitting courtside. Listen, I'll tell everybody at home too. There is nobody on the planet that you'd rather go to an NBA basketball game with or a Stingers basketball game than Jesse Martineau. I'm telling you, I don't care. Drake calls you on the phone. Drake calls you and says, I'm going to pick you up in the limo. You do not go. Jesse calls, you go. Everybody, the king. It is unbelievable. He has zero shame. He is one of the best trash talking fans, and no profanity. He doesn't use profanity.
You don't need to.
And listen to me. You know how hard it is to that's why I'm not a good trash talker, because I don't trash talk, because I can't without using profanity. Jesse can do it without using profanity. And I saw it at the Stingers game. I came home, my cheeks were red. My wife go, "What happened to you?" I said, "No, I laughed my ass off the whole game." These guys, like between you and Ken Franchuk, cracking off at the referees. I said, this entertainment value was fantastic. And I'm telling you, the Stingers basketball impressed me to the highest level.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, it's bang for the buck, way closer to the NBA than the CFL is to the NFL.
Yeah, it really is. And it is a good brand, and I want it to
Very
really
good.
succeed. Maybe you do it with that because, again, like, that's a great story because these guys come up from the States. I mean, you know, a lot of these guys never been to Edmonton or Regina. So you're like,
but why do we know them? Why don't we know them? We only know the Xavier Moon because he just signed a two-way contract with the LA Clippers.
Yeah.
And he's a phenomenal basketball player. Listen, when we saw him play in Edmonton, you said it. You said this guy's legit. Yeah. This guy can go far. He knew the game. He was that general point guard who knew
won the
game.
MVP 3 times in a row, I think, in the league. So
he's making some money now. He's going to make some money now.
Got paid, which is awesome.
What about this, though, Jesse? Why don't we know the rest of the people?
Yeah.
Why don't we know them?
Yeah,
why don't we know them?
And this
Why
is
don't
the thing.
We don't hear about them.
No, it sucks because there's so many opportunities to tell all these stories and to get them out there, and it's just poorly done. And again, I understand things cost money and maybe there isn't that much money to go around, but that being said, you could do a better job of promoting the product you have.
Listen, their social media has to be going 24/7 every like this, like the stock exchange. Just it has to just keep going and going and going, showing the players. I want to know who all the players are that play. Listen to me. When I met the 3 or 4 guys from the CFL, I was like, these guys are awesome. Like they were awesome. Yeah. Why didn't I know about them? Same with, and listen to me. It's not just about the Eskimos or the Stingers. It's about the leagues. Okay. It's about, we've never once talked about the CFL on the Me and Jesse podcast. Okay. We're talking about the CFL today just for the sole purpose of we know how to fix it. Okay. It just came up. We know how to fix it. Same with the Stingers. The same thing. You want to get more fans to the game? I want to know who the players are, not just Xavier Moon, who's unbelievable and also plays in the NBA, 2-way contract. Yeah. So as you see him play for the Canadian Basketball League, you're also going to get to see him play for the LA Clippers, which means he's at that level. Do you understand now? There's 3 or 4 or 5 guys now in the Canadian Basketball League that are doing this 2-way contract with the NBA. So which is trying to tell you, everybody, this level is super high basketball. They're putting up big numbers, and they're a very good team.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I love it. I think that, man, I hope they keep going, and I want them to do more. Speaking of Edmonton, oh my gosh.
No, they don't need a goalie. Holy moly, they don't need a goalie. Oh my
team,
God.
The Flames, really exposed it the other, and that was crazy. That was old school. That was an old school Battle of Alberta. It really was, and it went back and forth, and there's there. But you throw up a niner in hockey, 3 field goals, and there's an issue.
I knew this was coming.
Your goalie sucks, and your defense sucks. There's an issue there.
Yep.
There's a big one, and the Oilers didn't address it on trade deadline day when the one chance they had to get someone, again, Marc-Andre Fleury. How many times do they need to try to get this guy for a second-round pick even? And they didn't. And so people are like, well, he might have not waived his trade thing for Edmonton. He went to Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly.
He went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure he would say, hey, do you want to play with Draisaitl, McDavid, and we got a chance to
9.
roll in here if you come. No, I'm good. I'm going to go to Minnesota. I love that movie Fargo. That wood chipper scene. I just want to relive that every day.
Oh my God.
In Minnesota.
Oh, I knew you weren't going to let this one go today.
Because
no way.
Again, sell yourself then. Sell your city.
Yeah.
Send McDavid on a jet down and say, bro, we need you.
Yeah.
We need you.
Yeah. 11 million. Take the private jet.
Hey, man.
Cage jet.
You already fly them around in a private jet everywhere.
You two get in the plane. We'll have it. We'll feed you and everything, right? Of course. Take Kate's jet.
There'll be a pack of Mr. Noodles on there or whatever, and you can eat that. And you know that's what you eat at home, Draisaitl. So just get on the plane, head on down there, and say, bro, come on up. We can win a Stanley Cup together. He's not going to say no.
Bro, it's crazy. 9 goals. If that even happens one time, my beloved Red Wings are being, you want to talk about the definition of getting flamed? My Red Wings go down in flames. And listen to me, for all the Red Wing fans, and Darren McCarty, we love you. You're a part of the show. Okay. We love you. And don't get mad. I'm going to say this.
Well, he knows.
And
he knows.
Darren knows. He's a true tough guy. But you know what? He gets mad when I kind of bring up Stevie Yzerman's name, right? Because he knows he kind of gets a little touchy about it. And I love you. Darren, I love you. You know I love you. But sometimes it doesn't translate over because Steve Yzerman went to Tampa and he had a good team already, and it was being already manifested. This team is a young team. But have you seen some of the scores lately? 11-2 against Pittsburgh, 6-2 against Florida. I mean, you're talking about like the record's better this year, but when they lose,
they go down.
It is bananas. Like it is off the charts. Like they get blown out. And I tell people, I don't know if Steve Yzerman and Darren McCarty, you're going to come back on the show. Don't get mad. Maybe he's not the answer. Maybe he's not the answer.
Hey man, Ken Holland isn't the answer in Edmonton.
He's not. He's clearly not.
And everyone's like, "Oh, look what he did with Detroit." And then you know, actually, this actually pissed me off, and I called them on it. Mm-hmm. They actually said, "Well, Detroit won cups with Chris Osgood. Chris Osgood has the 4th most wins in NHL history."
Yeah.
And yes, okay, he was on a great team, but his save percentage is in the top 20.
Yeah, that's
of all time.
Yeah, because Osgood wasn't the Flash, so
but he wasn't stop the puck.
That's right. He wasn't a Hasek. He wasn't these
kind
of guys.
They had great D. Yes, I understand. Correct. But he could still stop it.
Yeah.
And you know, it helps your defense get better, and your defense helps your goalie. It is a two-way street. But you need someone at least consistent in the net.
When you pull your goalie and you toss, and I love this guy, okay? I legitimately love this guy. But he's 41 years old.
Yeah.
And you put him in net, and he lets in another 4 or 5 goals. That's the problem. You pull the goalie, so your other goalie puts in the same amount of goals.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to happen.
No.
Okay. And when your backup goalie is 41 years old, that's a problem. And listen to me.
Is he the
Father
backup?
Time. Father. Well, I didn't say that. You did. But what I'm saying, I'm not sure either.
Really.
But you imagine. You know what's funny? I love to box. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were there at the end. And I was 50 years old when I stopped boxing with people. And you know why I stopped at 50 years old? I should have stopped at 45. Okay. But I wanted to box the last 5 years. I was getting hit by people that should never hit me. Okay. But what happened in my mind, I just love the feeling about being around the guys and boxing.
Yeah.
Finally, the smarter people in the world, like my wife, said, no more boxing for Mark, okay? Because when I'm having conversations with him, sometimes he loses his train of thought because he's been hit in the head so many times. The moral of the story is maybe someone needs to tell that
Mikey.
It's a Mike who's a class guy, who's
I agree.
Who's awesome human being. He's a solid goalie, but 41 years old. You were right, Jesse. They should have got on the plane, went to get Fleury, and came back and at least have a shot at the cup. They don't have no shot now.
Not right now.
When you're getting flushed with the 2 best hockey players supposedly in the NHL, and you're getting flamed for 9 goals, that's a problem.
Yeah, and sure they can score, and that's great.
Yeah.
But you gave up 9.
9. That's crazy.
That means you have to score 10 to win. That doesn't happen.
No. Unless you're Pittsburgh against.
There was a little girl there on her 9th birthday, and she said she held a sign. It's my 9th birthday. Flames, please score 9 goals for me. And they did.
As a joke.
And they did.
Unbelievable. No, it's unbelievable. Like,
yeah,
but we've been on the show now, and we talk about all the time. And I was watching that morning, and the news girl who does the news on CTV says, and I know she doesn't know a lot about hockey, right? And she said, you know, it was early in the morning, and she said, well, I sure hope the others get a goalie. And I was like, did she just say that?
Yeah.
Like during the she said that. She doesn't know anything about hockey.
No.
Clearly.
She just knows that, hey, that's too many.
They need
goals.
a goalie. And I thought, wait a second. They're going to get a goalie for sure. And they didn't. They boycotted getting a goalie.
Just like last night, Will Smith should have come in with one of those flashy thingies and said, hey, look here, guys. And then, like from Men in Black. And everyone would forget.
Why didn't Will just walk up to him? Why did you give him like the 1-inch Bruce Lee punch to the chest and call it a day? You know, like something like that funny. And then say, hey, bro, put a sock in it. Put a sock in it. Or don't get up at all.
And then go on after and say, you know what? Chris, that was out of line because my wife has this condition.
Yeah. Can we do this now, though? So is this back now? Because Hollywood's so woke now. Because I want to know if I can do this.
Yeah. Can we punch people in the face now?
Can I walk around and slap people?
As he said,
protector.
When you love, you do crazy things.
Yeah, me too. Because when I owned the MFC, and you can go online, everybody, go ahead and Google it today. When I owned the MFC, you can hear all kinds of people talk shit about me, my family, talk shit, this and that. It used to drive me nuts, okay? But at the same time I'm like, you would think I'd be crazy and I'd go be like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. No. Because what happens if I go and whack someone like that? They're going to take my house and car. They're going to take all my stuff. They're going to sue me and win, So I don't do that.
Well, today the Academy might have some sort of disciplinary action.
Well, they denounced it on their Twitter, but they didn't.
Joke.
Yeah, there was.
They're not going to take the award away.
No,
but they might, frown upon that in the future.
Yeah,
it's frowned upon.
It's frowned upon.
We don't like that. We didn't like it.
We're missing the whole thing here, and they thought Kanye West should.
I know. The Kanye rant of Taylor Swift looks pretty tame now.
No, but they banned.
Right.
Easy now. He's called Easy now. He's not called Kanye West. He was banned because of the Kim Kardashian stuff that they thought he was going to go crazy. Now, Kanye's pretty nuts, but Kanye, I don't think he's going to go up and whack people like that in the middle of a live broadcast. And you imagine they're so woke. The Academy Award, we can't let Kanye in. We just can't.
Yeah.
He's a little bit kooky right now. But Will Smith's not.
Well, I mean, hey, Will Smith ruined it. Like, he always had that squeaky image. He always tried to keep it.
It hasn't been that squeaky like you think anymore. It used to be squeaky, but since this whole Red Table thing where she was basically fornicating with the 27-year-old rapper. And then the rapper left her. Okay. The rapper left her because he's like, this shit's all dysfunctional. I can't be around you and your husband being all weirdos and stuff. You imagine that? The rapper left. And it could have been her son. And, so that's what happens when these Hollywood people, they're so functional. They got all the money in the world. They got health. They got everything, but they can't stay married. There's always these things. Don't get me started on this topic because I could go on this all day.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The NFL has been crazy as well.
I'm happy.
Yeah, you're happy. You got a pretty darn tough division to play in.
So what though? But you know what's crazy? The NFL, I thought for sure the new coaches fell asleep. I thought literally, I'm like, did someone not tell them it's going to be like, it's free agency, the free agency frenzy is going on right now?
To be honest, though, I don't think they were going to do what they did.
Oh my God, bro.
If their division didn't do what it did.
Bro, to bring in Davante Adams.
That's crazy, dude.
After, not just Davante Adams. After you get Davante Adams, you imagine Rodgers after signing the deal he signed?
Dude, that's what I don't get. That whole thing there was that he would actually have a say in some of the trades. There's no way he approved Davante Adams going.
And did you know that Davante Adams and Derek Carr played together in college?
Yeah, it's a reconnection.
It's a reconnection, but the difference is now is, listen, I've never been a Carr fan, okay? So you watch the show, people watch the show, and, I'm pretty sure that, he's blocked me from Twitter because I made comments about him. Yeah, he did, which is fine. I could care less. But the reason why is because I made a comment one time that I thought his IQ was low, right? And people were like, and
was because he liked it at first.
Yes, he liked the tweet, and which then started a shitstorm a mile long. But the crazy part was, I said he had a low IQ, which I should have said
a football. You said a low football IQ.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I happen to know about these things, right? Because when you can't throw the ball he can't throw the deep ball on a consistent basis. He can't like Aaron Rodgers.
He doesn't know how to read
like Brady. He can't do the check downs. He can't do the check downs like Patrick Mahomes, like Tom Brady. Like I'm gonna make sure, because there's only a small group of guys that can do a 3-4 check down in that amount of time.
Well, the progressive read, whereas some like Baker or whatever, they'll just check down as the first throw.
That's right, and we're seeing that now, because
progressing through the read is not Carr's strong suit.
No, and in college
he locks
football,
eyes with his receiver.
Yeah, that's right. That's
and
right.
It's like, he's not covered. He's covered in double. Well, I'll try throwing one in there anyway.
Yeah, and that's why people really thought that Carr would be gone already.
Yeah,
because
whatever
year he's in of his contract, which is coming to an end now, people really, I'm not even joking. If you said I could have Baker Mayfield over Derek Carr, I would take it tomorrow. You know why? Because I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan. I'm saying is Baker Mayfield would at least get the ball to Davante Adams. Okay. Yeah, I know he would. And he would get it to Waller, and he'd get it to all these other guys now that you have that are open, because you signed Davante Adams. Now, what does that do to these other receivers that you have on your team that are actually really good? It opens up the whole world now, because you have to have two guys on Davante.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
And you can't have one guy on Darren Waller. Now you're going to have one guy on Darren
and
Waller.
Renfrew's open. So there you go.
It is. And Renfrew's open, right?
Yeah.
So, and you got all these guys like this.
And Josh Jacobs isn't bad.
No, he's very good.
Yeah, no, I just don't think they utilize him properly. But
They do not, right? But now you can. Right? There's a lot of other puzzle pieces they picked up.
I actually do think that they're better off without Gruden and Mayock.
Yeah, they are.
I really do. I don't think
what about you? How Russell Wilson to Denver?
Well, I mean, hey, I'm glad they got what they got. The Seahawks are. This is the interesting part, and I hope they don't do what I think they're going to do and take the quarterback. I think they need to go get the cornerback Sugar. What's his name? Man, now I forget.
Are you talking about college?
Yeah, in the draft, because they got first and second. So I don't want them to take a quarterback this year. I want them to wait till next year, because next year's quarterback class is elite.
Yeah,
there could be some great quarterbacks coming out of next year, and so there's a rumor that people are saying that they're going to take this one quarterback. I don't want them to, Willis, and so I don't. It's going to be hard to know. Like they it's going to come down to the draft, which is April 28th, by the way.
Yes,
and it's going to come down to that and what they pick, and that will determine the next 10 years of the Seahawks, really.
It's crazy. Yeah, no.
So I hope what I hope is
they can trade for it.
They sure, and they got some assets. They got Metcalf and Lockett. I think Lockett is gonna get traded.
I think Metcalf is one of those guys that are just.
I think the asking price on Metcalf is probably too big.
Yeah. Oh.
For sure. Which it's one of those things, right? You got yourself a Calvin Johnson if you put him with another good quarterback, like. Really.
Oh, I agree.
And so I think that whatever they do here, I think what they should do is run with Drew Lock for a year and see what happens.
Yep.
And then draft a QB, really good QB next year.
Unless Drew Lock connects.
And then let him play that year again. And then by year 3, you got that new QB. DK is 27 still only.
Or Lock develops.
And you get to develop that thing there. And so, I think that's the best case scenario of what they can do.
Agree.
They just have to not waste those picks. Like, it really is coming down to that, and they have to hit with them.
Give me some Raptors news, man. Raptors,
the Raps are playing good. Like, the Raps are going to make the playoffs.
Man.
They're going to play.
Playing good,
they're going to make the playoffs. They're not elite. I'll say
tough team, though. Tough team.
I think that a lot of teams don't want to play them in the first round.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Because of the energy. Because they'll run you.
I agree. Yeah.
And you got to remember, a bunch of those guys are champions. Like OG, Van Vliet, Siakam.
Yeah.
those
all got rings.
Those are NBA rings. Like, yeah, those guys are carrying them. Excuse me. And so you got that experience. Plus, you got guys like Gary Trent Jr. who's knocking down Jays like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, at 23 years old.
Scotty Barnes, a rookie that's turning into one of the elite playmakers in the league.
Correct.
Man, you got something. I hope that they can get something else. I think they can. And then you're back in the mix of things. I really do think that. It's just, it's one of those, it's another tough scenario because you're going to have to trade someone else. You're going to have to lose one of those pieces, maybe a Siakam, to get someone else, to draw someone else in. And so, again, we'll see what happens in the offseason. They will make the playoffs. I don't know who they're going to match up with in the first round, but I think that whoever plays them is going to wish they didn't play the Raptors.
Yeah, I think if they finish in the middle, they'll that's perfect for them.
Yeah,
because they'll end up playing someone else in the middle, right? Yeah. So that's a good start for them, and there's no telling what they can do. But I don't think
you can't deny that they're incredibly well coached. They have great system. They have talent. Their bench needs to do a little bit better, but it's still a good bench.
I agree.
And they're going to run you because they have so many assets that can keep stay fresh.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's going to be a tough first round for whoever plays them.
No, I agree 100%.
And so, we'll see what happens, of course, but I think that's the case. In hockey, I don't know who's going to win. I'd like to say Florida, but
looks like it.
I mean, hey, they put the pieces together to look great.
Pittsburgh looks good too, though. Pittsburgh looks good still too.
Sydney wants to go out on top.
Yeah. Oh, hey, why not? We found out what he's worth, and that's everything. Because we're starting to find out. Everybody's starting to realize about. It's great to be the greatest hockey player in the game, but if it doesn't translate into winning and Stanley Cups, it doesn't mean shit. Yeah.
There's elite talent. And there's elite leaders.
Well, we're seeing it. Don't you see it with Draisaitl and McDavid? Yeah. Why didn't Fleury say,
"I'll take 10 Crosbys over"?
I'm going to. Me too. I agree because we're starting to find this out firsthand right now. We're starting to find out, like, hey, wait a second. It's great that you're the greatest hockey player on the planet, and it's great that you have the coolest highlight reel, but you don't have any playoff wins and Stanley Cup wins, and this is a problem, man.
And again, they're not doing what it takes to lead that team up. You gotta like the Penguins have always figured stuff out along the way, but
a cultural thing.
It is a cultural thing, and yes, they had Malkin and Crosby. Yeah, they had a good defense in the tank.
They had Lemieux to start the culture.
Yes, that was there too.
Don't forget, what about the others too? They had Gretzky, they had Messier, they had all these people to start the culture.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
didn't work. No. And so I don't know how much that's a thing, but I think that's a testament to how good of a leader Crosby is because.
Correct.
You had key pieces on those teams, but together and the leadership of that, they played like they were all elite. And they did it consistently, and they're doing it consistently again when they're 10 years older than they were. That's right. So you look at that and you're like, okay, well, what's the missing elements? It's that these guys do whatever it takes to win and will bring anyone along with them on their back to win with them and make everyone else better.
It's a Michael Jordan syndrome.
It is one of those
things. It's the best syndrome. Michael Jordan syndrome, if you can have the Michael Jordan syndrome, you are lucky because you need to have the Kobe Bryant syndrome. You need to have the.
And I wonder what happens in those practices in Edmonton. I really do. Like, what is it like? Like, are they encouraging their teammates to go to the next level, or do they just think they're that much better and that's what they do?
You notice the city of Edmonton's hooked up in a way where the sports people are basically they're almost employed by the Oilers, most of them. And you see when you read about the Oilers, you can't tell if they won the game or lost the game. You don't know if they need anything. You don't know if they need it. No one in sports comes out and says their byline says they need a new goalie. Wake up, but no one says that because I haven't read it. I haven't seen it anywhere, but it should be in bold letters across the top that they need it, but they don't want to say it too loud because they go to the press conferences and the Oilers get frowned upon when you start to say stuff about them. And this is what happens. But if you don't see it now it's too late. Now it's too late. You don't have a goalie. You can't win the Stanley Cup without a goalie.
Like the one guy that stood up to Draisaitl and said, why you like this?
Yeah.
And Draisaitl got mad, and then he got turned on because everyone's like, "Oh, you can't say that to Draisaitl."
But why didn't Draisaitl tell the guy? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is where I want to like Draisaitl. Okay, so why doesn't Draisaitl say to the guy, "Hey, dumbass, I hate losing." Okay,
yeah.
I'm gargling on losing. It makes me sick to my stomach. But just to answer your stupid question, he could have said it like that.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, and again, I don't.
He acted like a baby.
But then even the other media in this town, like in Edmonton, doesn't back it up and say, "Hey, answer the questions, man." Like these are you guys suck right now. Like, and again, like they're in the playoff spot, and so you can make that. Oh, they're still there. They should be at the top. They should be in the top three in the league. Like,
hey, what about your boy Johnny Hockey though, man? Is he legit or what?
NHL's second star again in the week. Like,
hey, Johnny Hockey, and listen, that must drive people absolutely nuts when your nickname is Johnny Hockey. And I'm telling you right now, when I watched him play in the game the other day, and he lit it up against the Oilers,
when the Oilers made so much fun of the Flames when they made that draft pick, made that pick, and everyone's like, well, hold on, and so. And I'm so glad that he's turned around.
Can we say this? I can't believe I'm going to say this right now, too, though. What about Lucic? This guy woke up. This guy woke up.
Like he needs to play. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. Doesn't get a ton of points, but puts his body on the line, goes and fights, goes into the dirty areas, and then gets rewarded for a goal once in a while.
Yeah, I've seen him play lately, and I'm like, who is this guy, man? He just all of a sudden decides, okay.
But again, that's the difference to me between the Flames and the Oilers. Is that 100%. The Flames have a culture of playing together, and that remember when Kelly Rudy on, and it was just when Sutter got hired again, weirdly enough, and he and I both agreed that we didn't like Sutter in there and thought that his time had passed. We were wrong. We really were, because Sutter has done something in the culture again, like he did with the 03 Flames. That went to the Stanley Cup.
They're gravitating towards him.
He's made a way of actually making them play as a team. And every single line, you can expect the same thing. They're going to be responsible with the puck. They're going to be responsible away from the puck. And they're going to all skate their bags off.
Yeah, and they have. They did.
And that's what they do. And it's working. It's working. That's how they did it in 03, and they're doing it again. That's how he took the
What are they up by 10 points? Are they up by 10 points on the Oilers right now?
I think so.
10,
they're
like 10 points.
Yeah, they're in the top 3 or 4 of the league now.
So yeah.
They're in there, and so
Johnny Hockey's ready for a contract negotiation this year.
Yeah, well,
too,
he
right?
is in a contract negotiation right now.
Oh my God! And then you have the best season of your life.
Yeah, it is one of those things, and sure, but lots going on. Lots of playoffs will be starting soon, and then we'll figure out where everything lands.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've run out of time for this week.
Just like that. Boom, boom.
However, I'm not going to give any acceptance speeches.
We should get on the show. Wait a second. You know who we should get on the show?
Who?
Xavier Moon.
Yeah, we should get it. Yeah.
From the LA Clippers / the Stingers, and I'm going to reach out to the president of the Stingers because he just followed me on Instagram.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to reach out to him because I want to get Xavier Moon on the show because I think we need to get an NBA guy /
absolutely.
Yeah.
Mark and I aren't going to take any acceptance speeches or whatever. And if we give any awards out, I mean,
correct.
Don't try to walk up on stage against us because it's going to end differently. But whatever you're doing and, your day or your life or whatever, so just remember that the pursuit of happiness is above all else. Don't slap yourself tonight.
Do not.
Until next time, everybody. That's Mark Pavelich. I'm Jesse Martineau. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. We'll see you next time. We're not sure what's going to happen.
And don't forget, Crystal Glass for all your glass needs. The clear choice for all your glass
Call
needs.
310 Glass.
Or crystalglass.ca.
Thank you. Yes, I was hoping you'd say that. We'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good week.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/meandjesse.